right, everybody, go ahead and get your pwn box ready. Get your hacking machine, VM, whatever you're using, get it ready. We're getting ready to do this challenge. This is the next challenge in the OWASP Top 10 series, and we are going to get through it. This is a good one. I've done this. I'm trying to do some of these videos on a second or third take of the box so I can give you more of a sort of a seamless walkthrough and maybe a little bit of banter and conversation in the middle of it. So I want to say, if when you're watching these recordings, you notice like maybe I'm going through it and it's like, man, how is he going through it so fast? The truth of the matter is I am working through this before I make the videos because I want the videos to be more seamless. If you just watched me struggle through it the whole time, sometimes some of these boxes and challenges can take multiple hours, and then you got to go away and you got to really contemplate and think on it. And I figured that wouldn't make the best video recording. It makes a good live stream because you can struggle together, but a video, not so much. So know that, don't be discouraged, especially if you're a beginner in this stuff, that if I'm going through this or flying through this, part of it is I've done the challenge prior, maybe a couple times, and then I'm making the video. Or it's because I've been doing this for a little bit now, like a few years. The hacking side, I've been doing this for a couple years now. On the hacking side, I have a lot more IT experience, but I just don't be discouraged by that. Please be encouraged. The goal of these videos and walkthroughs really is to encourage people to try this stuff and to make it a little bit easier for you, knowing there's somebody walking alongside you working with it too. So let's get into it. So we are going to copy the IP, and I'm going to, like I normally do, open the browser. And since these are web challenges, we know we're going to copy and paste in, and we're going to see what website it is. And it looks like a different kind of Pikachu here. Pikachu, shout out to Pikachu and Pokemon. So I tried a few different things here, just like guesses to see if I can log in, but they didn't make it that easy. We do notice that this is an NGINX config file generator. So if you've never heard of NGINX, then go Google it. Anytime you haven't heard of something, don't feel bad and say I'm dumb. I'm just don't spiral. Just be like, what's NGINX? And look, it's an HTTP and reverse proxy server, a mail proxy server, and a generic TCP UDP proxy server, originally written by Igor Sisoev. For a long time, it has been running on mainly loaded Russian sites, including Yandex, Mail.ru, VK, and Rambler. Here are some of the success stories: Dropbox, Netflix, Fastmail. And so we see it's widely adopted among some of the top web companies in the world as a web technology for HTTP and reverse proxying. A newer form of learning these days is ChatGPT. So one thing you can also ask ChatGPT is, help me understand the practical use case of NGINX. And I'm not ashamed to do this. I do this nowadays. And I'm not saying ChatGPT is always 100% right and it's the expert and it's better than humans. I don't think that. I just think it's a really amazing tool to learn. And in addition to your Googling and your research, why not ask one of the most complex and sophisticated information systems ever made by humans, that is ChatGPT and GPT-4 large language model. So ChatGPT says NGINX is a versatile high-performance web server that can also function as a reverse proxy, load balancer, mail proxy, and HTTP cache. Its flexibility and efficiency make it suitable for a wide range of practical use cases. Here are some common scenarios where NGINX is used. NGINX can serve static content such as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and images with high performance. It is known for its ability to handle many concurrent connections. That's the proxy, that's the sort of load balancing element of it, making it ideal for high traffic websites. Example use case: hosting a website or web application where the primary content is static files. And it's showing us what a configuration file would look like in NGINX. Reverse proxy. NGINX can act as an intermediary server that forwards client requests to other servers, which can be useful for load balancing, caching, and security. That's cool. Example use case, distributing incoming requests to multiple backend servers to balance the load and ensure high availability. Load balancer. NGINX can distribute incoming network traffic across multiple servers to ensure no single server becomes overwhelmed, enhancing the performance and reliability of applications. Boom, HTTP cache. NGINX can cache responses from backend servers, reducing the need to generate the same response multiple times and thus improving performance. So you can see it has a lot of use cases, and ChatGPT can explain some of that to us. In this case, we're trying to hack it, so I can't create an account. So I'm going to create a new account, and I'm just going to do bob@bob.bob, or just Bob as my, I'll copy that because I meant to put that in email. I'll put Bob, and then we'll do, the best password in the world, password 1. I wouldn't use that in real life situations. I'm just using that here. And then I'm doing bob@bob.bob and password 1. We're logging in. We have access to the configuration generator. This is one thing we want to note. Again, you want to have the what's this button do mindset, read over things, look at them. Again, have ChatGPT help. Control in Windows key S gives you the sort of screenshot where it gives you a cursor that lets you pick the screenshot where you want a screenshot to be done. I love doing that and then pasting it into ChatGPT and asking. You obviously don't want to do that with sensitive information and data because you're leaking sensitive data that's, maybe business proprietary. So when I'm doing Hack the Box, though, I'm pretty wide open. I'm going to live stream it. I mean, I would never live stream myself doing an actual engagement because that would not be respectful of whoever you're doing the engagement for. And it could actually put them in jeopardy, and it could put you in legal danger. So, by the way, never live stream yourself doing an actual engagement. That would be kind of cool, though. I will say, if somebody was willing to allow that to happen and they put that in writing, I don't know if anybody in history has done that. So, people out there, if you own a pen test company or you're part of the leadership there, maybe one day a really cool content idea, maybe for training purposes, would be to do some kind of test that you can live stream it. Maybe it's internal or I don't know. It's risky. That would be risky. But that would, even if it was fake, right? Like you were just staging something, but you were going through all the realistic steps. I think that would be really cool. So that was my side rant. I rant a lot, so tell me to shut up if I'm ranting too much. So we know this is probably dropping that config file in storage, /storage. So I'm going to hit generate config file or generate config. I'm going to hit, I do like the font. I like how it looks like kind of like Minecraft font. Then hit enter. Boom. I'm seeing a config file and I'm looking through the config file. I look through it, root, it's at www public, which is, on the file system of the underlying Linux system. Most containers are Linux based, so they're like Linux kernels, and the file system's going to look a lot like a Linux file system. But then it says location storage, so it's dropping this generator is dropping the NGINX configuration file in the storage directory. So one way we can get to that is just removing this and going to storage. And it didn't load it, but maybe we got to give it some time here. This was happening the last time I tried this too. So let's wait. You see it's still doing that stupid thing. So 9.4 and now storage. No. Well, maybe that's not the right IP. Hold on 1 second. 9.4. Let's copy that directly, paste, storage. There we go. So it was remembering another IP I had. Sorry about that. And then I'm going to click. I found a database in here, right? So again, I'm telling you, this is like another take I'm doing. I'm not doing this in one take. So I'm going through here and I looked and I saw a database file. Okay, that's something you're probably going to have some good data in a database, right? And we mentioned this in a past lesson. Databases are underrated. These are some of the most important technologies in this era, in this generation. We don't have a lot of our favorite technologies without databases. We don't have video games without databases, people. So we know there's going to be some critical information in there. So I'm clicking on that. What's in here? We can't really do much with that. So, because it's compressed. So we're going to grab this. There's a few ways we could do that. One of my favorite is to just click on it, copy, go to your command prompt and use a utility called wget. So I'm going to type wget and I'm going to paste in that so we can download it. Downloaded it, do ls, and I see that it's downloaded right there. You can see I did this earlier. So I'm going to rm-rf one of those just so it doesn't confuse me. So I'll remove the original. And I'm also going to remove database because that's what it looks like when it's unzipped. So let's rm-rf that again. And when I do that, I'm just deleting. And then when I type clear, I'm just clearing the screen so I don't have a bunch of output in my face. And then I'm going to wget that again because I hadn't done cleanup. So we'll go all the way over here and do wget, download that, and it'll be our original file. When I originally did this, I was trying to do tar, and it was like a very specific option. So we did file, and we checked what kind of file it is, and it's a tarball. So we just had to, like ChatGPT said, I'll show you. I actually asked ChatGPT how to do this, and I asked ChatGPT a few things, and I'm not hiding that about this. Let's scroll up. I asked it a lot, so bear with me. Yeah, so it wanted us to do this right here, tar-xvf, which extracts the contents of the compressed file. It's like kind of like a zip file. You're unzipping xvf, and then when I do that again, I'm just hitting tab so I don't have to type the whole thing. And then it extracted it and it put it right here in database. So I'll cd to database ls, and I see a database there. What I needed in order to open that database was some kind of database browser. So I started looking around. I asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT mentioned SQLite browser. So when I got that, I then can do SQLite browser, just launch it from terminal, and it launches it. This is another one of those, whoa, I've never seen this application before, but since it's a database browser, that's what it does. So just like a file explorer, you can open files with it. In this case, you're opening database files. So I'm going to go File, Open Database. It found it in my home directory, the .SQLite. Double click that. Then I'm basically, looking through like, what are these? And I'm seeing users. Kind of seems interesting. Let's look in there. Or you could do browse data, table, and then users. And I see 3 users. One of them with admin in the username. I notice in another field a password. So this is a password hash. I copy and pasted this into ChatGPT and I asked it. And it's not always accurate doing this. I'm just always curious, how good are you really, ChatGPT? And it told us it was an MD5 hash. So I was like, okay, prove it. And I went to a pretty simple website called crackstation.net and pasted that in. And I'm not a robot. I don't think. And then I hit crack hashes, and it cracks it pretty immediately, which is awesome. We could have done hashcat as well and picked word lists and cracked it based on that. And this was admin1. So we saw in the initial login page that we could, we want to use the username as the email, and then the password is that cracked password. So we just did some password cracking, some light password cracking, and then let's try to reload that page. I'm going to close out of this since it's storing that session. We'll try. Here we go. I'm going to have to recopy and paste stuff. Go here. Let's see where the login page was. So we know that's admin 1. This should have a login page, but it's still remembering our browser session. So I'm going to try that again. Go here. It should be prompting us to log in, but it keeps remembering our session. So what we could do is, I guess we could do an incognito mode or private window so it doesn't remember that. And there we go. So I opened up a private window so it wasn't remembering. I could have cleared the browser cache, but that's fine. And then we could copy this email, because I'm not going to type all that. Paste it in there, and then the password that we got in clear text was admin1. If this didn't work, I would try to decrypt the other passwords that we found in this database. But then we hit login, and boom, you get your flag right there. And this was a good challenge, right? So we noticed somebody had left behind a critical file, a database file, in a public-facing directory. So this tool is designed to allow you to generate NGINX files, which is cool, configuration files, but there shouldn't be database files, a backup for the entire, the back end of the system, or for more critical systems containing credentials, right? Like in this case, we saw that this database contained credentials that were hashed using a weak encryption. MD5 is weak, and using weak passwords, right? So we were easily able to use publicly available resources to decrypt that hash and see the actual password, which was admin1. So it was a combination of things there, mostly layer 8 issues, right? Misconfiguration. If we look at the OWASP top 10, like I always have to reference that. You pull up OWASP top 10. This would have to do with misconfiguration, because it's not that the underlying technology is inherently weak. It's that we just were able to find data that shouldn't have been where it was. Yes, so this would be, in this case, A05-2021, a security misconfiguration. That was a human error, right? So I hope you enjoyed this challenge, and I hope you follow through and try to do it yourself. You'll enjoy it. It'll be a lot of fun. And until the next one, keep learning.